You are watching 2822 Sports Night live on the 2822 Now app, as always, 8 to 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday here on the 2822 Now app, presented by Hyundai, always. Lots going on in the sports world on this Wednesday evening. The NBA Cup wraps up. The New York Knicks reign champions, but will not raise a banner. The previous two Cup champions, the Lakers, who won last year? The Bucks, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because wasn't it Darvin Ham?
Yes. Darvin Ham was 2-0 as a Cup champion. The Los Angeles Lakers and Milwaukee Bucks, they both raised NBA Cup champion banners. The New York Knicks opt not to. A bigger focus on that trophy in June, opposed to the one in December. Also, we'll get to some NFL talk and preview the Steelers-Lions game, a big one for both of those teams heading into Sunday. And then also the Lady Royals out in Scranton. They're hooping.
10-0.
10-0.
They're looking for that turn. They got their eyes on that tournament.
They do. They are a team that has made it deep in the NCAA tournament the last couple of years, but just has not been able to get it done, cut down the nets, bring home a championship to NEPA, and obviously they've got the team and they're loaded to do that this year. We'll get to that in just a little bit.
Wasn't there? I'm sorry for interrupting. Wasn't there?
Good. What's up?
They're part of the tournament held in. At the University of Scranton last year?
Yeah, early on, the first couple of rounds are typically held at the top seed site. So they do that. And then they, last year, I believe they lost to NYU in the Elite Eight.
I think that was a close game, too. Yeah.
Yes. Who, NYU, I think, ended up winning the national championship. So I always say if you lose to the eventual championship. I was wrong. That was 2 years ago. University of Wisconsin Stout. What do we know about those Division III programs out in the Midwest?
A lot of Midwest powerhouses over there.
Football.
D2, D3.
I want to actually pull, before we get to basketball talk, I want to pull up the Division III NCAA football bracket. And Susquehanna, a heck of a run from them.
Yes, they did.
For the Riverhawks to start the season the way they did, 2-2. And I feel like we didn't talk about them as much as we probably should here on this program. We covered them plenty. We didn't, I would have loved to get to that game that was 3 hours away out by Philly. But unfortunately, we weren't able to get to that one against Eastern. They fall at Johns Hopkins last weekend, 40-10. And then you look at the semifinals in the NCAA Division III tournament. University of Wisconsin River Falls versus Johns Hopkins. John Carroll versus North Central Illinois. It's those Midwest programs.
Beasts.
They breed football talent out there. Football talent that is so good, but not, this is rude to say.
Yeah,
not a Division I talent. They breed you to be a Division III football player out there. And it works. I mean, you look at all the teams. When are those games? Those games are this weekend, Saturday at 1 o'clock, Saturday at 4:30.
Broadcasted on ESPN Plus, probably.
Probably ESPN Plus. You know, it's not on ESPN Plus because they are better than ESPN Plus. FCS football is fun to watch, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone at home is watching. I hope you're watching some FCS football. It's high level. And I understand it's not the CFP that we all watch and, the teams that end up making it to the quarterfinals and semifinals of the FCS, you're not as familiar with them, but it's fun. It's great football. The talent on those two teams.
A lot of the West Montana.
Yes, a lot of Western.
NDSU, SDSU.
North Dakota State's the powerhouse. That's where Carson Wentz went to college.
Yes, Carson Wentz.
I believe they got bounced early this year. They were the top seed and they lost early in this year's bracket.
Yeah, I know NDSU and SDSU were always
they're always the top. North Dakota State lost in the second round this year. The number 1 seed to Illinois State. Oh, I remember that. I was watching.
That was the game. I think Illinois State came back.
They were down big in that game, and they stormed all the way back. They're still in it. They're playing Villanova in the semifinals on the other side of the bracket. Nova has beaten Harvard 52-7 in the first round. Lehigh 14-7. Number 4, Tarleton State 26-21. And now they will play Illinois State Saturday night at 7:30. And if the Wildcats can advance, they will get the winner of Montana.
There we go.
Versus Montana State.
The in-state rivalry.
In a commercial break, because I will butcher the heck out of his name, the
QB?
quarterback from Montana has some unreal numbers. I'm not even going to try to say it. We're going to figure it out in a commercial break, and I will give him a shout out in just a little bit. But you got to love the football that's below the FBS, FCS, Division II, Division III. It's high quality football, and I had a chance to go out to Susquehanna a couple times this season to see some of their top matchups this year, and I mean it's competitive. It's not a joke, that the Division III football, and I've never had a chance to see really an FCS game at this level in person, but I can only imagine, what the state of Montana is going through right now. Their Super Bowl this weekend.
It's got to be, yeah.
The biggest football game of 2025 is this weekend for that state.
It's going to be a fun football. Because, again, you look at that, that's not a state with like a pro team in that area. That's sort of that forgotten part of the country, a dead zone. If
Idaho, Wyoming.
The Dakotas, obviously. That part of the country is sort of just forgotten in terms of like pro sports. So these college towns in Montana, and these Dakotas, this is their Super Bowl. This is the team that they rally around, this FCS team from September to December, and sort of just rally around these guys and pack these stadiums weekend and weekend out. I mean, it's sure fun to watch, and I know we're big Grizz fans from the March Madness.
We ride big time with the Montana Grizz. I need merch.
The Grizz.
Like it's come to a point now where we have rooted for Montana on so many occasions. I need some.
Money Williams.
Money Williams is a dog. Right? He's still back.
He's
back. What he's averaging this year. If Montana wins this weekend, I will be coming out to the podcast next Monday when I am back with a Montana shirt on.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to get it, where I'm going to get it. But I will get some Grizzlies merchandise.
I wonder if they have a fan store.
They've got to, right? Maybe I go out there. How much are tickets for those games?
That's a good question.
Like, because again, a Division III game you can get it for probably like $5.
Is that at a neutral site or is that?
It's at Montana State.
Bobcat
Stadium.
Because that's Montana. Montana's only loss this year is to Montana State.
They lost by 3 to Montana State a couple of weeks ago.
And I think Montana State favorites heading into this
game?
They
are 4-point favorites over the Grizz. They are 12-2 this season. Who did they lose to? And my computer is about to die any second now. This is awful preparation on my part.
Well, you were just at some wrestling, I believe, right?
Yes, no, I was not.
You were not?
No, I'll tell you what I was doing in a commercial break.
I didn't go back there, but I just figured I know you were trying to get some stuff tonight.
I do need to get to some wrestling at some point. That is on the to-do list very soon. Very soon. When you're working with one person in the department.
Well, you might be working with.
I hope very soon, Ricky. Let's make this happen. I know it's not up to you.
I know.
I'm speaking to the fellas, literally upstairs. Fellas. I'm speaking to, yes. No, I you'll be a big help. You'll be a big help, Ricky.
Be a lot of fun too.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Be a heck of a time in the sports department. Montana State lost to Oregon in week 1, 59-13, and then South Dakota State the following week in double overtime, 30-24, and then they rattle off 12 straight wins. Oof. So they're hot.
They are.
There's one team that's one of the hottest teams in the FCS right now. What was I looking up? Oh, Montana State.
The price.
The tickets. Yes. I wanted to find tickets because I'm genuinely curious. Like, is this a hot commodity?
I'd assume it would be just because that's that part of the country's like rallying point.
What's the housing market like in Montana? Are you familiar at all with that?
I'm sure there's a lot of land out there.
That's what I expect. But I wonder if it's expensive or not. Since there is so much. I can't imagine it can be.
I can't imagine. They're just out there.
This I did not expect.
Oh, no.
I'm on Vivid Seats right now. Tickets from $500.
Dang. Jeez. Got some celebrities out there.
Holy moly.
Dang, that's a hot commodity.
You can sit in the 100 section for $932 each.
Where's this? Oh, that's you said it's at Montana State.
And I understand it's probably limited seats in a stadium like that.
That's also
it's beautiful,
true.
by the way. If you look at a picture of the Montana State Stadium.
Sure, there's a lot of scenic views out there.
Oh, no doubt. I should have, if I knew we were going to be talking about the Grizz, I would have pulled up a picture to get it onto the screen right now. If there's any way you could pull Google up or whatever and get some pictures to admire about the stadium, that shocks me. I did not expect that. Joining us here on 2822 Sports.
So when you hit the enter button.
That's fair. That's fair.
A preview.
Do you have the screen
later.
shared or no?
I will in just
in 2 seconds get it shared.
Yes.
If you find a good picture. That shocks me. And again, these are Montana and Montana State always find themselves in this position. I feel like they're always playing this deep into the FCS tournament. You got a picture?
Yeah, I do.
That's gorgeous.
It is. Let me pull that up.
So you'd understand. I mean, like you said, it's the biggest football event of the year, the calendar year. And how many people live in Montana? What's the population of Montana? Is it like the population of like Scranton? 40,000 people? Montana population. This is crazy. We're talking about. We've spent the first 13 minutes of the show talking about Montana. Is that a press box? Are you getting seats?
Yes.
Are you ordering? You're getting a nice box, aren't you?
Look at the mountains.
See, like, can we see that?
I will zoom in once. Am I allowed to zoom
Over
in?
1.1 million people live in Montana. So you think about it. How many? Like,
There.
This is intriguing to me. Yeah, that's awesome. Like, that is such a cool environment to see a game. And I think it's in Bozeman, Montana, I believe.
Bozeman. Yeah, that rings a bell.
Bozeman, Montana. What's the temperature out there? 29 feels like 5.
Yeah, I'm sure the wind chills out there. Not a lot of mountains to stop the wind.
Yeah. You see some mountains in the background.
Yeah,
That's wild. Wow.
a lot of flat land.
Saturday for kickoff. The feel like, actually not bad, 25. Place is going to be jumping.
Sure it will.
Get a couple beverages in you, and it'll feel like 80.
Oh, my dad said Montana Grizz merch is all on sale. So
Oh, boy. Mr. Turner just hooked me up big time. That's my Christmas gift this year. Thank you, Mr. Turner. I appreciate you checking in that. That's good. I'm getting you a shirt, too, if they win.
Grizz? Yeah.
Yes.
Because then they're going to the finals.
Because then they're going to the darn finals, and we got to get
Might
merchandise
be
for that.
playing Nova.
That would be... Do I mention this? How many... We've had this conversation before. How many Villanova... I feel like I should be mentioning something in our newscast about this.
I don't think it would. If you got time, I don't think it would be a bad...
Do you have any connection to Villanova? Do you know anyone that... I mean, did you go to high school with people that went there?
No.
No?
I did not. Great. Again, I've heard nothing but good things about it. I think I've told you. We went to... I think it was our freshman. I believe it was our freshman year. I was part of the student section. What you call it?
Is this your freshman year at Temple or Lakeland?
Yes, Temple. Went to a soccer game at Villanova. It was Temple against Villanova. The Cherry Crusade. Shout out to Cherry Crusade. That's Temple's student section.
Okay.
Went there. We went by a school bus. The school bus picked us up, drove. And I don't know, I forget what happened, but the school bus was trying to backed into one of the buildings. I think I have a picture on my phone. It damaged the back of the school bus.
Oh,
there's a big dent in the back.
Were you guys trying to get to the game? Or?
Yes, I think we were trying to.
So you didn't even leave the parking lot yet, and there was already some damage.
No, this was at Villanova's campus.
Oh, okay. So
we're at Villanova's
so
campus.
Temple was out to destroy Villanova's campus.
I guess we were trying to.
And Karma said, no, we're going to destroy the bus instead.
Yeah.
Who won that game?
I think Villanova did.
What sport was it again? What sport?
Soccer, men's soccer.
Has Temple men's soccer always been good?
They were pretty good my freshman year. Since then, I think they've been a little bit of a. I think both soccer programs have been in a bit of a lull because they had this big. Yeah, because I think they actually had one player play for the team in Pittsburgh that just won, the Riverhounds, that he got drafted there.
Oh,
the
okay.
striker. And then we had this big goal. He was like 6'9". Kid was a freak.
I don't understand why
more.
I think we've had this conversation as well about hockey. Like, why don't you just get like a 6'10", 350-pound dude and stuff him in the net? You're not scoring a goal on the guy. Soccer might be a little different because you got a little more.
Yeah, no, he was agile. Mobile. He was a slender, like 6.
He hoop or no?
No, this guy was just
no basketball,
all
just
goalie.
strict soccer.
Goalie.
I like it. Out the womb, you know exactly what you want to do. You want to stop soccer balls going into the net, and it helps when you're that tall too. All right, I'm pumped about this now.
Yeah, the game this weekend.
This is massive. 4:30 on ABC.
ABC, they get prime time.
They got prime time in Montana. Yeah. They're gonna have now. I wish there was some sort of
1:30 Central.
What?
I forget what is it. I forget what time. Mountain time. It might be out 2:30. Maybe
2:30. Oh,
I think it might be 2:30.
That's prime hours. It's gonna be dark by the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it will. Under the lights and
it's gonna get chilly.
Yeah, it will.
You're gonna see the mountains in the background, and let's hope they win because when I put money on them in order to get our gifts afterwards, we gotta cash in on this.
We do.
I have to make a trip to the casino for a couple things. I've got a couple to do. I've got a checklist of things I have to do at the casino. That sounds like a weekend activity, of course, not during the work week.
No, we don't do it during the work week.
Never. Focus on the grind.
Yeah.
Focus on
the show.
Yeah, focus on the show. Which, for the first 18 minutes, has been about Montana sports. Which it's all right. The viewers have to understand the love.
Okay, we've got some hockey coming up.
We do have hockey coming up. All right. Let's get a break in here on 28-22 Sports tonight. I'm going to figure out the Montana quarterback's name so I can say it correctly. And we're going to talk winter sports, basketball, hockey, when we get back here on 28-22 Sports tonight. Kayali Ayat is their quarterback at Montana. The pronunciation was so just gruesome that it killed my computer. 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, nearly 4,000 passing yards this season from Hawaii. His 4th year with Montana. Believe this is his first year at the starting quarterback.
No.
We're huge Ayat fans this weekend.
Yes, we need him.
Let's do it.
Need him to ball out. Maybe we'll get a training camp invite.
Maybe he will. We'd have to get a jersey. That'd be awesome.
See where he goes.
Watch 2 Montana games all season. Let's get to some hockey now. Why don't we? Big news out of the NHL on its couple different angles. I know you wanted to get to the Flyers a little bit, Ricky. They're having a really stellar season. The Penguins also in the news today, and they are off tonight, but ownership change for the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Fenway Sports Group, selling them for, the price isn't exact, around $1.7 billion to $1.8 billion to the Hoffman family.
That's chump change.
Yeah. Well, for this family that I looked into a little bit, Mr. David Hoffman, the CEO, pocket change for him. Pocket change for a multi-generational family that's in investing with real estate. A lot of dollar signs involved in this family. And looking into the article, I was reading a little bit. It says the Hoffman family was really interested in buying an NHL team or an NBA team. Ultimately decides to purchase the Penguins, and obviously it has to go through the process of the NHL looking it over and the long contracts that have to do with purchasing a sports team, a professional sports team, which I imagine is very extensive and takes a while to go through. But it comes in a time where the Penguins are kind of in the middle of the pack right now. And that's the way it's been the last couple of years. They've been not in the best spot, and I think a big factor is, the superstars that they were led by for years in those mid to late 2000s, early 2010s when they won their Stanley Cups, and Crosby and Malkin and some of those bigger names, Brian Rust. They're getting older. Age is catching up to them. Father Time is undefeated for a reason, and maybe this is a change they needed, and hopefully they can start to build on. I know last year, one of the big things the Penguins were really trying to do was focusing on the younger core, and it's going to take time to develop that. But obviously, a big step in a direction where, maybe Crosby and Malkin, their careers are coming to a close soon, or maybe they go to a new team when I'm not sure their contract situation is at the top of my head. But, obviously a really big move for the Penguins, and obviously having the baby Penguins right down the road from us.
Yeah, the Penguins have started off the season actually pretty hot. They were playing well. They had their goalie play was pretty good of late as well. But over the last week, 2 weeks or so, they've blown a lot of late leads. I think they blew another lead a few games ago. They were up 5-2. Blew that lead in the third period. And, you mentioned Crosby, Malkin, those guys are all getting older, Letang. This is a team that was built around that core three. And ever since then, Crosby, again, has shown no interest in leaving. They still have tried to put a suitable team around him in hopes of this team catching fire. But, and again, it did seem earlier in the year like that was going to happen, but they have really just struggled to defend the net. That has really been a big issue over the last 2 years. And there are some concerns with this team going forward. And they're middle of the pack. They haven't been bad, but they haven't been good either. Where, you look at a team like the Flyers, they've had a couple bad years recently, but they've invested in some of their young talent. They've made some smart trades, where the Penguins have given out some bad contracts. They traded their starting goalie, who won them a Stanley Cup, and Tristan Jarry, who was a part of that team, gave him a lucrative contract. He did not live up to it. They had to move on from him. I think they got a pretty nice deal out of it in return, but overall, this has just been a Penguins team that right now, you don't know what to do. They're in a tough situation, and they've lost 6 straight games. And I'm sure that this fan base is getting a little antsy, a fan base that has been used to success under Sidney Crosby. But they're going to have a lot of big decisions to make, and maybe it starts with this one. I know they brought in a new head coach this past season as well, but there's certainly a Penguins ownership that I think is going to see some reshuffling in an organization that, you don't really know what direction they're going to be going in the next couple of years, as their star players are getting older, getting well into retirement age, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, certainly a little bit a shakeup in the Penguins organization.
Crosby's he's 38 now, and yes. He's still leading the team in goals and points this season. And I pull up the stats right in front of me. It's Crosby, Malkin, Rust, Carlson, the top 4 in points on that team. And those are all guys in their mid to late 30s at this point. It feels like one of those situations where, and I feel like this happens a lot with some teams that have a rich history and they've seen success, and they're still clinging on to their stars that they had years ago, the faces of the sport. And this feels like a case in the Penguins where they don't want to hit that rebuild button, but you just need to press it. You got to press it and move on. And, Crosby gave you a great 2 decades of hockey. You reach a certain point where you just need to reset it. You need to look at the talent you have on the current team that's maybe younger, the talent you have here in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, which I know they've called up a few guys this season. And there's been a couple promising players that have come through the system here in the AHL and now can make some noise in the NHL. But I think it's tough because the Penguins, they're used to winning. They won 2 Stanley Cups in a span of 3 years?
Yes.
They had won it. And now you're at a point where you're trying to figure out what direction do you go in now? What superstar, which player can you build around if you're the Penguins? And I don't think building around Crosby, as talented as he is and as good as he is of a player, is just suitable anymore. And it's unfortunate to say, but he had his time. The Penguins were at the top of the NHL for years, but other teams are starting to take over now. And you mentioned the Flyers. I know they had a couple first-round picks last year, and they've really done well in the draft the last couple of seasons to start building that up. And now you look at them, they have the 4th best record in the Eastern Conference. After a couple of years ago, I think it was, they were at the way bottom of the standings. I believe they were nowhere in contention whatsoever.
Yeah, no, and it starts with right now Trevor Zegras, their center. He was a first-round pick out of Anaheim a few years ago. It was a guy I think they traded for a few years back, and he's really taken the mantle and been their key guy this year. 14 goals, 19 assists, leads the team with a plus-minus of 4 as well. This is a guy that Philadelphia traded for last year, has gotten some pretty good production out of him, and this is a team that right now, if you look at the Penguins' ages near the top of their stat sheet and the Flyers, there's a big
complete opposite.
There's a big discrepancy in age, and you look at it. One of their older guys, Travis Konechny, second on the team. Hasn't had as good of a year as last year, but has certainly been an impact player. Owen Tippett's given him some solid time at the right wing. I know they're pretty high on Matvei Michkov, who's recently come into the rotation there as well. But yeah, this is a Flyers team that right now sits fourth in the Eastern Conference standings, and there's a lot of guys that they've got promising. I know Tyson Forster. It was just announced today that he is done for the season with a surgery that he had. But this is a team that right now, with a lot of young talent, there's still some movable veteran pieces on this team as well. Particularly, I think at that wing position, do you think about moving Konechny? And before the season started, people were talking about the Flyers maybe tanking for McKenna, getting that last piece to really get them over the top. Well, I don't think people expected this Flyers team to be right now in the middle of the Eastern Conference standings, sitting at fourth, and they've really again had a really great start to the season, and they've been one of a huge success story. But now again, you have to see if this team could keep it up, because I think this team a few years ago was in playoff position throughout the last week, 2 weeks of the season, and they sort of collapsed late, and it allowed them to fall out of the playoff picture, and then I think someone else get in. But overall, I mean, this is a Flyers team that you have to be excited about going into the future with all these young pieces, with Zegras, with Tippett, with Michkov, even with Bobby Brink, the right winger, who has 15 points as well. This is a team that the Flyers could certainly have a lot of young pieces. They've built a lot through the draft, and they also have a great young goalie as well. I think he had a great game the other night. I think, what's his name? Oh, Dan Vladar as well. He's certainly been a huge upgrade for them there as well. 28, coming from the Czech Republic, and he's been their best goalie on the year. He's 12-5-3 on the year, 12 wins, 5 losses, 3 overtime losses. And you still get a point if you're the losing team in overtime. You still get 1 point. You don't get the 2 points for an overtime win. But he has easily been their best goalie this season, and I think he's been one of the best goalies in the NHL, allowing just over 2 goals a game.
And it's funny, you talked about how the Flyers were good. What was it you say, last year, and they fell off a bit at the end of the season?
I think it was a couple of years
ago.
They were good, and they fell off more towards the end of the year. Last year, I know they were not that good.
I was going to say, okay, because they sit fourth in the Eastern Conference right now, but they have the 12 best odds to win the Eastern Conference.
As I said, yeah, again, I don't think they were a team that was on many people's radars just because of the youth of this team, but their goalie play has certainly gotten them there, and the play of their young stars. I think they just beat the Montreal the other night. I think it was last night, 4-1. Couturier, I think, had 2 assists. But this team, again, I don't think many people expected them to be as good as they are. But I'm sure those odds may boost if they keep this up from their into later in the year. But yeah, right now they've just I think they still are in the proving themselves stage. But I think they certainly are starting to catch the attention of the people in the NHL. Despite I think the Eastern Conference standings are still a little tight, but the Flyers, with the way they're playing, they could certainly open up those standings a little bit and gain some ground if they keep playing the way they are and keep playing defense the way they are. And a player like Trevor Zegras, who's on the up and up for them, sitting at 28, and he's just 1 year in the system. And they also, again, had a new coach coming into this year, so I don't think many people knew what to expect, because I think when the preseason standings came out, they were down near them, and the Penguins were in the same area in terms of where they were going to finish. They're more towards the bottom half of the conference.
Flyers are on a little road trip right now in Buffalo tomorrow
are.
night, and then Saturday night at MSG against the Rangers before returning home right before Christmas. They play NHL on Christmas or no? There are Christmas games on, or no? They have that night off. They have a long break. They get 4 days off. The NHL.
Christmas?
December 23rd. My schedule says December 23rd there's games, and then none until the 27th.
That would check out.
So hockey takes the time off while basketball and football go to war of who can bring in more viewership on Christmas Day. This year, we might know the answer to that. Well, everyone's going to watch football regardless, but the games are not going to be as competitive.
No, basketball's usually got a floated slate from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m.
It does. The 5 o'clock game
Eastern
this year
time.
might be a little rough, but I think we got the Mavericks Warriors. 2 teams on the struggle bus right now.
Yes, the Mavericks have not played up to their level this year.
They all got free golf carts today, though, courtesy of Kyrie Irving for Christmas. Custom golf carts.
He's still working his way back from ACL.
Yeah, he might be, he could play later this season. There's a chance.
I mean, Cooper Flagg has sort of found his footing.
First, I believe the youngest player to score 40 in a game.
Yeah, he's
The original record holder.
your guy.
Do I say the greatest of all time, or is that going to confuse some people if I say that?
Probably confuse some people.
That's a good segue to take a break. Maybe we'll talk some hoops when we get back. Let's talk some basketball halfway here through 28-22 Sports Time. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Halfway through 28-22 Sports Night, presented by Hyundai on this Wednesday evening. Enjoying my last 30 hours of being 24 years old.
Nice.
I'm old then. I'm 25. I said that I was chatting with some lady at the gym, and she asked how old I was turning. I said 25, and I was feeling old, and she goes, "You've got to be kidding me. I'm going to be 3/4 of a century in a couple of years. You're not old." And I was like, I feel it, though. Like now earlier I was talking about my elbow pain I'm feeling. I've been having leg pain, chest pain, elbow pain. This is bad. This is bad.
Yeah, it's that time.
It is. The Geisinger folks are going to get to know me so well. I'm going to be in there every 2 weeks for something new.
Happens.
I don't want it to happen, though. I don't like this.
I think it'll happen in the near future, but I think it should be good for a little bit. But
I don't know. I'm a little stressed out right now. A little stressed that the injuries are piling up already. The unknown injuries is the biggest thing.
Now you know what an athlete feels like. They're not in their prime anymore.
Yes. The unfortunate part is the pro athletes at 25 are doing just fine. They're in their prime right now.
Prime. Yeah, it starts hitting them around like 5 years later, around 30, 31.
That's true for most cases.
But yeah,
I guess I've never been a top athlete before. My prime was a few years ago when we were winning 3v3 and 5v5 tournaments in the intramural leagues at Syracuse University. We were unstoppable. That's actually not true. We would lose in like the Elite Eight every single season. We were known for choking, and it pissed us off so much. Because we would be so good during the regular season. We would beat teams. But then as you continued, there were so many intramural teams that you didn't face all of them because you played 5 regular season games. You had one each week. It wasn't a long season. And then you get to the playoffs, and it's a 100-team bracket, and you run into a team when you get to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8, half of them are D1 athletes just playing basketball. And at some point you learn, all right, I can't jump that high. I can't run that fast. And they're going to grab 6 offensive boards on you, and you're not going to win. You're not going to win.
fair.
So it was tough. And we had some talent on those teams, but It was fun though. We had our coach. He rocked his quarter zip. He brought a clipboard with him. There were a couple times where the referees would be like, "You can't have a coach on your sideline," and he'd freak out on them. What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm the coach. I gotta be with my team. And then he'd have to go sit on the other side of the court alone and just watch us play. But then those were the games that we would lose because we didn't have our coach telling us, "Hey, run this play. Hey, let's go into it." He's a big Syracuse fan growing up, so he likes being in the zone and pickup. We probably looked like lunatics running 2-3 zones in intramural basketball.
I'm sure the
just pick up a damn man.
Yeah.
What?
I'm sure the people did not enjoy that.
No, I got competitive.
They'd be sitting in the 5 out.
What did I do? I injured my shoulder somehow playing intramural basketball. I was reaching for a ball. And I messed up something in my shoulder. I swear, I'm falling apart. I'm decomposing. Is that what they call that in science class when something's breaking apart? Decomposing.
Yeah.
I think my body's decomposing in so many different ways. This is not good. Your boys, they got a big one this weekend. The Steelers.
Yes, they do.
They've got a big one against the Lions. The big thing that we were talking about earlier this week when it came to the Steelers lines. And it feels like the Steelers over the last month have just been playing stud running backs after stud running backs. And now they got to deal with 2 stud running backs this weekend.
Yeah, they do.
Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jameson Williams. It's going to be a fun game. And the Lions have a lot on the line here because they need to win. If they lose, their playoff chances are very, very slim.
Yes, a lot of playoff maybe not so much for the Steelers, but for the Lions, there's a lot of playoff implications in this game if they want to stay alive.
I'm curious are you confident? I like always asking, what's the confidence level at when it comes to the game this weekend for you? As a Steelers fan, a lifelong Steelers fan that's gone through the trials and tribulations, as you like to call them.
My confidence to win this game is probably around a 3 or a 4. I think there's a chance, but I think Pittsburgh has to play some really, really good football defensively and stopping the run. And this is probably one of the best offenses you're going to see for the remainder of the season with Detroit. They've got weapons all around. You mentioned Amon-Ra. They got Jameson Williams, who's been getting more involved on the outside. I think that's one of the things that's changed most under Dan Campbell. They've been trying to get him more involved both vertically and in the intermediate passing game. His speed in the middle of the field ever since Sam Laporta's went out. Of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he could beat you anyway, short, middle, deep. So they're going to have to deal with him in the slot. I mean, there's just a ton of ways he could beat you. And then Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs has really been the X factor for this team. I think in their wins, he's averaging over 100 yards a game. In their losses, he's averaging 40. So if there's one clear-cut player Pittsburgh probably has to stop, it's him because he's their splash play guy out of the backfield. As much as I like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs is probably the engine that makes this thing go. Because Amon-Ra St. Brown, win or lose, he's going to get a lot of targets.
No doubt.
He's getting 10-plus targets a game. Whether they win or lose. But I know Jahmyr Gibbs is at a streak recently, or a 6-game span where he's gone for 3 touchdowns, no touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, no touchdowns.
What do you have last week?
No touchdowns.
Oh, boy. So a little trifecta coming this weekend.
So, yeah, Pittsburgh, they got to stop him. Derek Harmon looking like he's going to play. I think he was a full participant this week, so looking good for him. Pittsburgh had 4 players not participate, TJ Watt being one of them, Nick Herbig as well, Isaac Seumalo with the triceps injury, and then James Pierre still battling a calf injury. So, but if I'm Pittsburgh, the Rams did have success moving the ball. The Jack Doles called the Lions secondary the Legion of Whom.
I love that.
So
I love that. Yeah, you just alluded to it. It's perfect segue. We had a chance to talk with the sports director at Wood TV in Grand Rapids, Michigan, one of our Next Star friends, one of our good Next Star buddies, to talk everything. Jack Doles with this Lions-Steelers game, and you mentioned the Gibbs factor. He was quiet last week. You talked about the Legion of Whom. He covered all that, and we ready to play this interview?
Yes,
all right,
we are.
Let's hear from Jack Doles, our interview. I'm not gonna have my hair is gonna grow really long. Just let you know right now. I'm gonna have really long hair and a black shirt in this, so don't be phased. This is an interview from yesterday with Jack Doles. Joining us here on 2822 Sports Night, it's the sports director out in Wood TV in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's Jack Doles joining us here on the show. Jack, appreciate you taking a couple minutes to chat about the Lions and Steelers, a much anticipated matchup. Two teams that the Steelers in the playoffs, but still battling head to head with the Ravens and the Lions in arguably the toughest division in all of football right now, with the Bears and Packers playing also this weekend. A really, really fun Week 16 slate ahead, and we appreciate you hopping on the show with us for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, happy to be here, Nick, talking about Lions and Steelers. I didn't think this game would be this big for Detroit when the schedules came out, but here we are. Both these teams, 8-6, but very similar seasons, both 4-1 at the start of the year, and you're thinking Detroit, yeah, this could be a Super Bowl team. But they haven't won back-to-back games since October 5. They also haven't lost back-to-back games since 2022 season. So they'll be prepared for this one. They'll have a home crowd that, if Pittsburgh can jump out early, this crowd might start working against Detroit. But if Detroit gets rolling early on Pittsburgh, I think the Steelers could be in for some trouble.
The term must win gets used a lot, and sometimes it starts getting used in October, and it's like, all right, let's take a chill pill real quick. But now we're into late December. Does this feel like a must-win game for the Detroit Lions?
It's absolutely a must-win game, unless they don't care about making the playoffs. They really have to win out, and then they need the Bears to lose a game, and then they'll play the Bears on the final week of the regular season in Chicago. And if the Lions win these next two games and the Bears lose, and the Bears have the toughest remaining schedule of any team in the league, and it sets up for that showdown, then Detroit's got all it can ask for right now, but they do not control their destiny because of all these losses lately.
For Steelers fans watching us every night, they know about the Lions offense and how prolific it is, and losing Laporta hurt in a big way, but you still have Amon-Ra St. Brown, you still have Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Isaac TeSlaa has popped onto the scene every once in a while. He'll catch a touchdown. What makes, from your point of view as someone that watches the Lions every Sunday, what makes them so dangerous for any defense, and specifically now this Pittsburgh defense, to slow down on Sunday?
Well, a couple of things. First, they've also lost Christian Mahogany and Giovanni Manu. The interior of their offensive line has been decimated by injuries. And if you've seen the teams that have had success against Detroit and have been able to slow them down, they get a pass rush against the Lions. What makes Detroit dangerous is if they get that running game going. Jahmyr Gibbs is unbelievable to watch. If he can get outside, you've got to be able to contain him, keep him inside. They've also got a great 1-2 punch. David Montgomery hasn't been quite as effective, but they had their best runs this last weekend when Montgomery was running the ball. So they like to establish Montgomery early, because he's such a tough, hard runner, and he gets you an extra 2-3 yards on plays where he's got no business gaining any yardage. And that really fires up that Detroit crowd. They love their grit in Detroit. But and then once they get the running game going, then that play action is fantastic. The loss of Laporta was really difficult for the offense, but they're also just the most aggressive play calling team. Nobody goes for it on fourth down more often than Dan Campbell, but we've even seen him scale that back a little bit recently. But, now that this season's on the line and the Lions are a completely desperate team, I think he will just go, things to the walls to try and get this Detroit offense and get that crowd going in Detroit on Sunday.
And the Lions haven't only had injuries along the interior of that offensive line. Their secondary has been banged up over recent weeks as well. Brian Branch done for the year. That was a big loss for that back end. And then Kirby Joseph has also missed time recently as well. Pittsburgh, certainly not the most prolific passing offense but in the NFL, but you saw last night, once they got that run game going, the play action opened up, and the middle of the field opened up with DK Metcalf. What do you think the Steelers can do to start exploiting a defense that has allowed 27 or more points in each of their last 4 games.
Yeah, what was surprising was how well the ball was run against them by the Rams last week, because the interior of the defensive line has stayed relatively healthy. But you talked about Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. They're also missing Terry and Arnold. They're missing Carlton Davis. They're missing Thomas Harper. And Amik Robertson hurt his hand this last week. So what the Lions are throwing out there is a secondary that has been dubbed the Legion of Whom, because even Lions fans can't name who most of these guys are that they're putting on the field right now. But it's the fact that the Rams could run the ball against Detroit, which was a little bit surprising. Detroit, the last 2 years, they've really owned the lines. Although last year, remember, their front 4 was all banged up. They had their top 7 defensive linemen were out with injuries. That was last year. This year, they've remained fairly healthy. But, we've got to see if Aiden Hutchinson can really get a pass rush going. The Lions haven't had it that good of a pass rush this year, which is a bit surprising. And defensively, they haven't stopped the ball as much. So I expect the Steelers to try and come out, run the ball. And then if that opens things up for Aaron Rodgers, then, we'll see what happens. But yeah, that Detroit secondary has really kind of been the biggest excuse Detroit has this year for their struggles, especially on defense.
And I forgot to mention another weapon on offense in Jameson Williams. And Ricky over here always loves to compare Jameson to George Pickens during his time with the Steelers. The antics are very similar at times, and the unsportsmanlike conducts and excessive celebrations, a couple similarities there. I've actually run into a couple of Lions fans in this area and Michigan sports fans as a whole. So maybe you can bring some optimism to them that are maybe watching us. Do you see the Lions getting into the playoffs ultimately when it comes down to it at the end of the year?
Well, win this week and maybe. Their chances aren't great right now, but it's still a possibility because they do have the talent to win 3 straight. But they have to win this game. And then they have to win next week, another winnable game. But, that going to Chicago for that final week and playing outdoors, the Lions have not fared all that well outdoors. They've had a whole bunch of games indoors, and, Ford Field is a great home field advantage when they're playing well, when they've got the crowd jacked up. But right now, this crowd, you're starting to feel a little bit of tension from them. It used to be, I'm serious, you go to a Grand Rapids Griffins hockey game and the crowd was chanting Jared Goff. We're not hearing quite as much of that, although, when Goff has time, he's as good as anybody in the NFL, but he's not if this Pittsburgh pass rush, and I don't think you're going to have TJ Watt, right? That's a problem. But
probably not. No,
I don't know. Mike said he was watching film.
Well, Mike has also claimed he's not a medical expert either. So I think he's questionable. I guess questionable we can throw out there.
Yeah, if the Steelers can put some pressure on that Lions passing game, and if you can shut down the run, Gibbs has really gotten most of his yardage in 3-4 games this year. Last week he was really a non-factor in that offense. And if they can find a way to do what the Rams did last week with Gibbs, that's a big plus. I know there's a lot of Michigan fans that are really hurting right now. It's funny how quickly the conversation has changed in Michigan State's favor since Pat Fitzgerald got hired and another guy gave $400 million to the athletic department, the football program. And now what we're seeing at Michigan with Sharon Moore. It's crazy how fast things can turn around. And I think Lions fans can hold out hope that if they can win this game, again, Chicago's got to win. If Chicago wins out, they win their division. If Chicago loses this week and the Lions win out, then that game, that final weekend, because the NFC West has been so good, the loser of that Bears-Lions game could be missing the playoffs. So it's a crazy what's going on with the NFC West, but it's still there for Detroit. Just got to win out.
And lastly here, Aaron Rodgers. Obviously he's played the Detroit Lions a lot in his career. The Detroit Lions, I think, played him and knocked him out of the playoffs the last time he was in Green Bay at Lambeau Field. and I'm sure he's going to be thrilled. He's going to probably be asked about returning to Detroit maybe one last time in his career. But this is a Detroit Lions team that has not beaten Pittsburgh since 1998, I believe, home or away. The last time they played, I think it was a brutal tie where the Lions, I think it was Dan Campbell's first year, and that game ended up being a tie with Mason Rudolph at QB.
Yeah.
What would it mean to Detroit fans to, I think, maybe not put the Steelers team maybe in a little bit of jeopardy of them missing the playoffs, as they only hold in a 1.5, 2-game lead against the Baltimore Ravens?
I think they're more concerned with trying to get in the playoffs. There's absolutely no love lost for Aaron Rodgers anywhere in the NFC North. Chicago, where he said he was their owner. Detroit fans can't stand him because of all the success he had with the Packers. But these aren't the same Lions that we watched, for a couple of decades here, who had one playoff win before Dan Campbell got here in the Super Bowl era. These Lions are really good. They're very talented. They're just really unfortunate with all the injuries that have happened. But when they get things rolling, as we saw with the Dallas Cowboys game, if they can hold the Steelers to field goals, I think this Lions offense can certainly put points on the board against anybody. They still put a lot up on the board against the Rams, but it was just a disastrous third quarter. They have to avoid that sort of a thing.
Lions Steelers 4:25 Sunday right here on WYOU. Jack, we appreciate you swinging by the show and joining us for a couple of minutes.
You bet, Nick. Thanks for having me.
Who's the best team in the NFL right now, Ricky?
Los Angeles Rams.
Who's the second best team in the NFL, Ricky?
Maybe the Denver Broncos. I'd probably say Denver right now.
That's a good answer. Number 3. Before we go,
we got the. Give me the Patriots for now.
All right, I like it. New England's big game tomorrow. Seattle, LA Rams.
Yes,
it's be an awesome Thursday night game.
Give me Seattle over.
Yeah, Seattle over New England. All right.
Yeah.
We'll see you later. We'll see you tomorrow night for another edition of 2822 Sports Night.